Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to go through the last of the 3 ACT practice packets that I gave to you. It feels like a million years ago. I know I've given you the answer keys and there's lots of nice explanations in there. So I'm just gonna, some of you like it when I explain all of the problems. So I'm gonna just go quickly through everything. I'm gonna use my pink highlighter. If it's something we've studied already, I'll highlight it in pink. And if it's something new, then I'll go into a little bit more detail. So in number 1, when you're going to refer to the figure, which of these is not a way to refer to line BD? So if we look at BD, that's the 2-letter name, then that refers to this whole line. So we can call it line M. We can use the 2-letter name JB, that refers to the same line, and since I'm looking for a way to not be BD, then JD, line JD, that's okay. You need something to symbolize that it's a line. JDB is the one that I don't like because we don't use 3-letter names for lines. Okay, number 2, are points A, C, D, and F coplanar? In order to answer that, we need to know what in the world does coplanar mean. It means in the same plane. So I'm going to identify A, C, D, and F. And so A, C, and F are coplanar. They're in this plane here at the bottom. A, C, and D are coplanar. They're all part of this triangular face right here. But are the 4 of them all coplanar? No, they are not on the same... 3 are on the same face of the pyramid and the 4th is not. So that would be choice D. Number 3. So we've got a triangular prism here. I can tell that it's a prism because it has 2 bases that are parallel to each other, and then all of the faces are rectangles. So all prisms are like that. You can have any shape for the base. So name a point that is not coplanar with G, A, and B. So I'm going to identify G, A, and B. So we're looking at this rectangular face here, GAB, that's the plane. And so the one that is coplanar, there's a couple, there's F and D and K are all on that same face. And so I'm thinking, here's K and D and F. So the one that is not is going to be C. Now we're going to use that same picture. So an intersection of plane GFL and the plane that contains point A and C. So plane GFL, oh, and by the way, we've studied the definition of coplanar and all about planes, and I should have highlighted 1 and 2 because we've also discussed how to name a line. So those are things we have learned this year in geometry class. So number 4, an intersection of plane GFL. So again, I'm going to go and I'm going to find G, F, L. So that is this rectangular, it takes 3 points to make a plane, but all those points are on this bottom rectangle here. So C, L, D, G. So where does that rectangle intersect with the plane that contains A and C? So here's A and C. Now there's 2 planes that contain A and C. I can look at A and C and I have this rectangular plane in the back. And so the back rectangle with the bottom, those 2 intersect at line CL. Okay, and I can already see that is an answer here. But I'm going to go ahead and give the other answer. So the other plane that contains A and C is this triangle on the front here, ACG. So that front triangle intersects with the bottom base right here at line CG. So there's 2 right answers. Remember, two planes do intersect at a line. There's two answers, but CG is not in my choices, so that's why I'm going to pick choice A. And then number 5, we've got angle FGK. So we're still looking at this same picture. So FGK is 3V minus 4. And KGH. So let's see. KG. Where is H? F, G, K, and K. Where is H? I don't know, I'm going to have to pause it and take a look at my master copy. I've written too much on this one. Okay, so I was looking at the wrong diagram. Duh, I've got GK bisects FGH. So I'm looking at two things. What does the word bisect mean? So FGH is the big angle, FGK, X, and Y. So since it bisects, that means it cuts it in half. So whatever X is going to be equal to whatever Y is. So FGK, I'm going to label 3V minus 4. And KGH, I'm going to label 2V plus 7. And so since they are equal to each other, I'm going to set them equal. And then I'm going to solve for V. But just keeping in mind, there's 3V minus 2V is 1V. Then I'm going to add 4 to both sides. So V is 11. And notice 11 is one of my choices. That's one of the tricky things on the ACT. They'll always give you a sort of a tricky choice. But remember, they're not asking you for what V is. They are asking you for X. So they want to know this whole angle here. So you have to take that 11 and plug it in. So 3 times 11 is 33, minus 4 is 29. So that's choice D. And we definitely studied angle bisectors this year and how to read a diagram and mark it up. Number 6, we have a new diagram. So I'm going to read and mark, and this is pretty critical on the ACT because anything tricky that they give you could be from the given statements. So KJ and KL are opposite rays. So that means this is a straight line. That's the definition of opposite rays. It makes a straight line. So we know all these angles together, 1, 2, 3, and 4 add up to 180 because that's a straight line. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. So I'm going to mark those. And KM bisects NKL. So here's NKL. KM bisects it. So I'm going to mark those as equal to each other. So now, which is not true about KM? So angle MKJ is acute. Well, I haven't solved and found out what all of these are equal to, but it sure does not look acute. It looks obtuse. So I'm going to rule that out. Angle 3 is congruent to MKL. Angle 3 is congruent to MKL. I think that is true. Point M lies in the interior of LKN. So here's LKN. M is in the interior. And KM is an angle bisector because they told us. So it looks like I've just, since they're asking what's not true, I'm going to go ahead with choice A. And I'm going to check really quick on my answer key because on the ACT, I don't like to trust appearances. I only like to trust what they tell me. So number 6 is A. So we're good to go on that one. All right, numbers, and I'm going to go ahead and say we've studied bisectors, we've studied acute, obtuse, all that. So number 7, if LKN is 7Q plus 2. So LKN, that is the whole thing. LKN, that's 3 and 4 put together, is, so I'm going to say angle 3 plus angle 4 is 7Q plus 2. Angle 4 is 4Q minus 5. So 4 is 4Q minus 5. What is angle 3? So basically, I need to be able to write an equation that's true so that I can solve it and figure out what the measures of my angles are. So if I substitute for angle 4 is 4Q minus 5, and then I know 3 and 4 are equal to each other, so I can have another 4Q minus 5 here. And I could set it all equal. So 3 plus 4 equals LKN. So I'm going to combine like terms. 8Q minus 10 equals 7Q plus 2. And I'm going to subtract my 7Q. I'm going to add my 10. So I get Q equals 2 plus 10, or 12. And then I'm going to go ahead, and since angle 3 and angle 4 are equal, I'm going to go ahead and substitute 4 times 12 is 48, minus 5 is 43. So I get angle 3 is equal to 43, which is choice D. And we have studied that this semester. Okay, I'm going to try and keep these videos at around 20 minutes. I'm going to keep going until I hit that point. Number 8, OP is perpendicular to RS. So I'm going to go okay, so that's not on this diagram. There is no point O and there's no R and S. So it looks like I have to draw my own diagram for this one. So point R lies on OP. So I'm going to make OP. Point R lies on it. And then there's RS. So I'm going to go ahead and put my S up here. So they told me it's perpendicular, so I know it's at a right angle. So PRS is 12 times F minus 4. So I'm going to say PRS is a right angle, so 90 is 12 times F minus 4. So we can do this a couple of different ways. We can distribute, or we can just divide through by 12 and figure out what our F is. So I'll go ahead and distribute. So 90 equals 12F minus 48. I'll add the 48. I get 138 equals 12F. Divide by 12. And I am going to estimate here. So I know that 144 divided by 12 is 12. Because 12 times 12 is 144. So 138 is just a little bit less than 144. So I know my answer is going to be slightly less than 12. So that choice A is the only one that fits that description. So if I got my calculator out, I'm sure I would find that's exact. So number 8, we have studied perpendiculars. So number 9, name each polygon by its number of sides, then classify as convex or concave, regular or irregular. So a 3-sided figure is a triangle, so automatically we can get rid of choice D. Convex or concave. So how to describe convex and concave. Concave means it has a side that's caved in. So you'll see, let's see. I don't have any concave shapes, but a concave shape, if I was doing a concave hexagon, so hexagon has 6 sides, I would have one set of sides that are caved in to be concave. So this is definitely convex. So now I can get rid of choice B. And then the last choice is regular, and regular means that it has all the sides are equal in length. So I know nothing is marked here, but I know with a right triangle, I have a hypotenuse that even if I have two sides that are the same, the hypotenuse is always the longest side. So I know that I have one side that is longer than the others, so that is going to be irregular. Next, find the length of each side of the polygon for the given perimeter. So that's the directions for the next page. So my perimeter is 60, and I'm going to find the length of each side. So let's see. This is a right triangle, and I'm thinking that there is a Pythagorean theorem somewhere in here. So this is something we have not studied yet. We've not studied Pythagorean theorem. We have not practiced too much with squaring things, but I'm just going to show you the work. And actually, let me pause and look at the answer key, and then just make sure I'm not making it more complicated than it is. Did you find the value of y? What is the value of y? Oh. Yeah, see, that's why I'm working all this out, because they didn't really give you enough information to be able to solve it yourselves. So I'm going to go with Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And remember, a and b are always the legs, so I'm going to plug in 2y plus 1 squared plus 3y plus 5 squared equals 7y squared. And I am going to work these out. So remember, anytime I have a binomial and it's being squared, I'm going to write it out. That's a FOIL problem. So I'm going to FOIL those in the next step. And I'm going to write this one out too. 3y plus 5 times 3y plus 5. So I'm going to have to FOIL all this and FOIL all this, and then I'll add them together. That's the order of operations. It says we have to do parentheses first and multiplying first. Equals 7y squared. I'm going to write it like this. All right, so now let me get my other color here. 2y times 2y is 4y squared. 2y times 1 is 2y. 1 times 2y is 2y. 1 times 1 is 1. So that's the FOIL from the first one. Now I'll do FOIL, which stands for first, outer, inner, last. It's just double distribution. So now I'm going to FOIL the second one. 3y times 3y. 3 times 3 is 9. Y times y is y squared. 3y times 5 is 15y. 5 times 3y is 15y. 5 times 5 is 25. And then 7 times 7 is 49y squared. All right, so now I've got a bunch of like terms and I'm going to combine them. So 4y squared and 9y squared is 13y squared. Then I've got 2y and 2y and 15y and 15y, so that's 34y. Then I've got 1 and 25 is 26. Equals 49y squared. And then I'm going to bring over my, well, the way we solve quadratics, remember with a variable squared, this is called a quadratic. We need to get everything to one side and then factor it. So I'm going to combine my like terms. I'm going to bring my 13y squared over. I'm going to bring over my 34y and my 26. And now I've got 0 equals, let's see, 9 minus 3 is 6, 4 minus 36y squared minus 34y minus 26. And I'm going to factor this, I want to pull out a GCF. This is a really advanced problem. So when we're all done, we'll see if there's a simpler way to solve it. So I'm going to say 2 goes into everything. So I'm going to pull out a 2. And let's see. Then when we have a quadratic like this, there's a few different ways to solve it. You can factor it, you can do the quadratic formula. I am going to oh, there's got to be an easier way. I'm going to do a quick quadratic formula just because I've started down this path, like I said. Then we're going to figure out if there's another way. So the quadratic formula, x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Not sure if you learned that little song when you were in algebra class, but there it is. So I've got my a is 18. My b is negative 17, and my c is negative 13. So x is equal to negative b plus or minus. Now the square, b squared, 17 squared, or negative 17 times negative 17 is 289. Minus 4 times a times c. All over 2 times a. So let me get my calculator out. I'm definitely not doing all of this in my head. So 289 minus 4 times 18 times negative 13. It's 1225. Is that a perfect square? Yes. Okay, so that's 35. All right. So 17 plus or minus 35 all over 36. So 17 plus 35 is 52 divided by 36 is 1.4 repeating. Now let me do 17 minus 35 divided by 36. That's a negative. So if x is 1.4 repeating, well, let me do that. 7. So that puts the longest side at 10. Not the shortest side. Let me go back to my answer key. Perimeter is the sum of the sides. Okay, so I did all that work. Now I'm working backwards from my answer. And I did all that work, and it's not giving me something that's really working out here with a perimeter of 60. So we're going to go back and we're going to add up these numbers and we're going to see which ones add to 60. So if I look at choice A, I've got 11 plus 20 plus 35, and that's 66. For C, I've got 12 plus 21.5 plus 38.5. That's 72. D is 10 plus 15 plus 35. So that's 60. So it could be D or B. And then let me see if 10 squared plus 15 squared equals 35 squared. 10 squared plus 15 squared equals, and then 35 squared. Okay, so that does not equal a right triangle. And then let's do 10 squared plus 18.5 squared. And see if that equals 31.5 squared. No, Good grief. 10 squared plus 18.5 squared. So I'm going to say this question would never make it on the ACT because it's a bad question. That's probably why there wasn't too much work given there. So I'm going to say B is the best choice. And I am going to move on with my life. So sorry if you got dragged along with all of that. I'm going to end this here since we're at 25 minutes, and I will do the next set of problems in the next video. Thanks for watching.